There is enormous confusion here on YouTube surrounding getting legal permission to live in Mexico for more than 180 days. In this video, we take you directly to the source and provide links to the Mexican government information, along with video clips from two Mexican attorneys who explain the INE program and Mexico's immigration laws. This is a longer than usual video. You can grab a coffee, tea, wine, or beer and relax. Take notes, lots of information. Just know that this video addresses two different categories of people: those already retired and now in Mexico, and those who have not reached retirement age. For those who have not yet reached retirement age, the financial requirements have changed, and it is getting more expensive to qualify to live in Mexico. The link to this article is in the description. Try not to blame YouTubers for the variation in facts. The Mexican government itself sometimes has different answers to the same question.
Okay, so now the next question is, I've heard that you can get your temporary visa without having to prove financial solvency. Now, how does that work? Because you just told me, that if I just land here today, the only option I really have is being here on a tourist visa, right?
Right.
And nothing else until I figure it out, which again, there are other options.
Yep.
We'll discuss later, what your options are, but you already know what the options are, getting married, yada, yada, yada. But long story short, I heard about that program. Now, is that program still valid? Is that program for real? What's going on with that? Explain to me, because I don't know anything.
Well, the program is real. This program started in 2020.
Immigration Institute, the ministry responsible for managing visitor and residency permits, has announced a special regularization procedure available to people currently in Mexico with expired visitor permits that enables them to ask to apply for residency at an immigration office in Mexico without having to leave the country. What is the regularization offer? Under the Mexican immigration rules, an irregular immigration status is one where your current immigration permit has expired, or you violate one or more of the rules associated with immigration law. This special regularization procedure offers foreigners in Mexico holding an expired visitor permit, FMM, an opportunity to ask to apply for legal residency in Mexico in-country, without having to leave Mexico. Who can apply under this special procedure? This special procedure was originally announced by the INM in late spring of 2021, and in the fall of 2021 the criteria were expanded. Through this special procedure you may ask to apply for temporary residency in Mexico without having to leave Mexico to apply if you are currently in Mexico and in possession of a Mexico Visitor Permit, FMM, that expired before January 1, 2020, or you are currently in Mexico in possession of a Visitor Permit, FMM, that expired on or after January 1, 2020, and you have entered Mexico before as a visitor on at least two separate occasions before January 1, 2020. Caution about tampering with your FMM form or stamp in your passport. We've seen stories on social media that suggest some people might be manually altering the number of days written on the form or on the stamp in their passport. The form has a unique serial number printed on it that correlates to an electronic record of your entry to Mexico. Your passport number is also associated with this record. The number of days you are granted is stored on that record, and the INM will not take kindly to anyone tampering with the form or passport stamp by altering the number of days written by the immigration official. How do I apply? This special regularization procedure can be undertaken in Mexico without the need to leave the country and apply at a Mexican consulate abroad, as is normally required with most residency applications. To request the special procedure, you need to attend your local INM office in person to ask for advice and guidance. Ask if the office is accepting these types of applications, and if they are, whether they are willing to consider your application. Note that your visitor permit, FMM, must be expired, i.e. you are past the date when you ought to have left the country, and the INM will not receive your petition if your FMM is still current. After your interview, the official will advise you whether or not the INM will accept an application from you. If you are able to apply, the application begins with the completion of an online form and covering letter, and afterwards you have to return to your local immigration office to complete further steps of the procedure and get your temporary residency card. Assistance with your paperwork. If the I&M office you attend agrees to accept your application and you want assistance completing the paperwork, forms and letters required, our associates can provide telesupport for this via the Mexico Immigration Assistance Service. Note that our associates cannot guarantee that your request for the special procedure will be accepted at your local I&M office, or that any application that is accepted for processing will be granted. What does it cost? The special procedure requires you to apply for 4 years of temporary residency, and each applicant will need to pay the usual fees for a 4-year temporary residency permit, approximately MXN $11,500 pesos, about $600 and you will also need to pay a regularization fee of about MXN $1,500 pesos, plus a fine of about MXN $2,000 pesos. Economic solvency requirement waived. Temporary residency qualification usually carries income or savings requirements, and foreigners usually need to leave Mexico to begin the residency application procedure. However, this special procedure waives economic solvency requirements for qualifying persons and makes it possible to regularize your legal residency status here in Mexico, without having to apply from a consulate abroad. Note that people who ask to apply and are accepted for residency through this special procedure will be granted for complete years of temporary residency and do not have to renew their temporary residency each year. Near the end of the 4-year period, holders may optionally apply to exchange their temporary residency for permanent residency. How long does the offer last? The Immigration Institute has not stated an end date for this special procedure. It can be altered or withdrawn at any time, without prior notice. If you are currently in Mexico and qualify under the criteria listed above, and you wish to apply to stay in Mexico longer term through legal residency here, it's best to ask to apply soon after your current visitor permit, FMM, has expired. Mexico Immigration Assistance. If you want to apply for this regularization procedure, you first need to attend your local I&M office in person to ask whether they will accept your application. If the I&M office you attend agrees to accept your application and you want assistance completing the paperwork, forms and letters required, our associates can provide telesupport for this via the Mexico Immigration Assistance Service. Note that our associates cannot guarantee that your request for the special procedure will be accepted at your local I&M office, or that any application that is accepted for processing will be granted.